And
So, yeah, it's just a drill.
just keep hitting.
That was the old way.
Preset and then stay left. It's not just start left, got to stay left. Really nice. Ball's penetrating now, it's not ballooning up. You've lowered the trajectory of the shot, which makes sense if the shaft's leaning. But you now have a true trajectory for an 8-iron. And you're hitting little baby draws, by the way. Our goal here was to start working on the problem of hitting it fat.
Okay.
That meant working on the problem of moving our circle in our swing. We're stabilizing our swing. So your misses will be a lot better.
Still, those feel pretty good.
Or just, you can throw a blanket over them. That's just awesome.
John, I'm going to compare your swing to Grant weight. And the first thing we're going to look at is the distribution of your weight between your feet at the moment of impact. I have stopped the swings at the moment of impact. I'm going to draw a red box from the center of their ankles to the top of the head. Now you can see how Grant has the center of his hips right on top of his left foot. So he has quite a bit, probably 85 to 90% of his weight on top of his left side at the moment of impact. You have more weight on your left side than your right side, but not near enough. We need to have a lot more weight on our left side at impact in order to control the low point of our swing, in order to have that low point of the swing in front of the golf ball. I do like the extension in your arm and in line with the shaft, and you have the shaft leaning a little bit like Grant does, so that's very good. Also, both arms are extended and your elbows are somewhat close to each other. So that's you have some really solid foundation fundamentals right there. On the right is your drill swing when we were focusing on staying more on the left. That's when you started hitting the ball consistently solid. On the left is your swing at the beginning of the session before any adjustments. Now you're not going to see any dramatic visual differences here. But there are some very important subtle differences here, and that subtle difference is the key here. You had a tendency to have your low point a few inches too far back, and now with your swing on the right, you were hitting the ball much more crisply and clean. You weren't hitting the ground behind the ball as often. You did occasionally, but the majority of your shots were very cleanly struck. First, let's look at the red line. If we look at the lower body, your lower body is, in terms of your hips, looks like it's actually more of it is across the red line on the left swing than the right. But look where your hands are. Your hands are much more forward, which creates more shaft lean. And also the upper body, the top of that red arrow is much closer to your left ear than the swing on the left. So you are tilted back a lot more on the left. Your spine is tilted back a lot further, which also produces a low point behind the golf ball. And so you have a better balanced position on the left, where not only are your hips on top of your left foot, but you put more of your upper body on top of that left foot. The swing on the left has your hips on top of your left foot, but you're falling backwards with your upper body, and so you're not driving the entire body through the ball. And so that's a big improvement. This is a down the line view of you hitting the 8-iron. and I've drawn a red line from the front of your shoulder straight down to the ground. And you can see where, when I do that with Grant, that line passes right through his hands. So his hands are right underneath his shoulders, and your hands are way out away from your body. So you've disconnected your arms from your core of your body, and that's why you do not have the power that you would like to have. You set up too far from the ball, and you're reaching more, and you're forcing yourself to just swing at the ball with your hands and arms, and you're not able to use the larger muscles in your body to develop force. Now I'm going to look at some of the post-impact positions because they provide some clues to what the body might be doing at impact when we look at what the body looks like after impact. I'm going to do Grant first. As he comes through, he maintains an extension in his arms. His eyes are still down. His elbows are close to each other. His arms are sitting on top of his chest. When he gets into, this is called the ninth position. This is when the right arm is parallel to the ground. His wrists are crossed. His shoulders are in this angle here. His hands are right in front of his chest, so he's continued to swing his chest and arms as a connected piece and a connected unit. As you come through, you have what we call a chicken wing. You can see how that left arm and left elbow is starting to really separate from the left side. It's no longer sitting on top of your chest as you come through. Now you do a pretty good job of extending the right arm. So your right arm is getting extended here, so that's good. The left hand is underneath the right hand, so that's good. You'll see that in Grant as well. The main thing is controlling this left arm from separating. That is coming mostly because it never really felt a connection to begin with. Your setup doesn't even connect the left arm to the body before you begin the swing. So the left arm is allowed to kind of float around away from the chest throughout the backswing and the downswing. So it really isn't connected to anything, and so it just moves almost independently of the chest instead of going ahead and feeling a chest connection. There are two main changes and adjustments we need to make in your swing in order to improve the quality of your shot. One is we need to have the low point in front of the ball more consistently. That means we have to have more weight on our left side at impact. So now I want to look at some of the positions before impact and see what you might be doing before impact that's causing you to have difficulty getting more weight on your left side at impact. Let's look at your weight distribution at the beginning of the swing. First, we'll draw that same box from the center of the ankles to the top of the head. Grant has probably 55% of his weight, maybe even slightly more than that, on his left side at the beginning of the swing. He's almost in a little mini impact position. You look like you're about 50-50. Your lower body looks like it has a little bit more weight on the right foot. I can see your right hip outside the box more than the left hip is outside the box. But from the upper body, I see your left shoulder outside the box and more than your right shoulder. So in a sense, you have your body almost in two different positions. Grant has both his lower body and his upper body more on the left side than his right side, and so you kind of have a little different setup. In reality, what that means as I look here is that your spine angle is almost the top of the spine. The sternum is almost toward the target, and so your spine angle has a little bit of a tilt like that, and Grant is his spine is slightly tilted back just a little bit. And on tour, all the PGA players, you would see more of a position of the upper body. The spine angle has that little tilt like Grant has, as opposed to yours being tipped the other way a little bit. In order to change your spine angle, what you would have to do is bump your lower body, bump your hip toward the target, so that would pivot your spine angle just a little bit this way. So that would be one of the adjustments I would want you to make in your starting position, so that you start with just a little bit more weight on your left side than your right side. Now I'm going to take Grant back into the backswing, stopping at this is called the 3 position. This is when the left arm is parallel to the ground. And you can see that Grant is swinging around that red arrow. His left side is staying right on that left arrow. That's the axis of his swing. He has a stable axis and he's rotating around that red line. That's the center of his golf circle. So that when he arrives at the golf ball, the center of his golf circle is still right there, which is in front of the golf ball. That's how he controls the low point of his swing. As you go back, you can see how your left knee, hip, everything moved away from the red arrow. You really swayed to the right in a very aggressive way. When Grant gets to the top of his swing, he's still right on top of that left foot. He's almost like a field goal kicker, planting the left leg and getting ready to kick the field goal. He's loading up and pressing the ground with his left leg and left side. He'll use that action to create more force and power. That's one of the things that we were trying to work on with the drill, or the left side drill. So this is before we did that drill, and you did make some improvements in that. One of the things that we need to develop and work on is this initial takeaway, this move right there. In order to solve the low point problem, in order to stabilize your golf circle, we need to work on this takeaway. Now we're going to look at your setup from down the line, and now I'm looking for ways to adjust your setup so that the arms become connected. I'd already drawn the line showing how your hands are reaching out away from your body, where Grant's arms are under his shoulders and his triceps are touching his chest, and yours are lifted off your chest slightly. As I look for other differences, you can see how he does not have as much knee flex as you do. Down up that leg, that's about 80 degrees, and yours is about 7 degrees more inward. If I were to, the center of your ankles, draw an 80-degree line, it would be here. From that line, if I go up the center of this upper leg at 79 degrees, up the center there, 68 degrees. If I were to draw a 79 degrees, it would be here. So Grant's posture, he's standing taller, so he has less flex. He's not squatting as much as you do. As you squat, that gets your body closer to the ground, but it also then forces you to push your hands further away from your body because of the length of your arms and the length of the club. So the only way that you could get your hands underneath your shoulders is to start taking some of the flex out of your knees, stand taller in your legs, and then that would automatically swing your arms they would swing under the shoulders more, and that would allow your arms to get connected to your chest. So the short answer is, in order for you to improve your ball striking, you're going to have to change your initial setup, and you're going to have to stand taller. My concern is the clubs that you have may be too short for your posture, for your stature. I'm not sure those clubs have been fit for you, but it's possible, and I think probable, that the club is too short. You have adopted this posture in order to accommodate the length of the club. So you're trying to fit the club instead of the club fitting you. If you had a proper length club that was longer, then you could stand taller more comfortably. That's something I need to look at the next time I see you, and I can tell if your club is the wrong fit or not. And if it is, that's a fairly easy thing to change. You can have a club extended you've got good clubs. I don't have a problem with the peen clubs. So you don't have to go buy new irons, but we might need to have them extended to fit your swing. So I believe it's going to be difficult for you to assume the correct posture with those clubs. But I don't like to assume. I like to know. So we'll have to look at that next time we can get together. There's no question that you're not going to be able to build a fundamentally sound golf swing with this current setup posture. We're going to have to change your posture. That's going to be something that you can experiment with on your own, but it might be difficult to do on your own. You almost need a pair of eyes outside of you looking at you and helping you shape it, because you're not going to be able to know what you look like, and so you need a pair of eyes that knows what the proper setup should be and look like, and be able to help manage it face to face with you. And so that will accomplish the two main things I want to accomplish with you. One is get connected, get your arms connected to your body by changing your setup. And the second thing is stabilize your golf swing by staying on the left side throughout the swing. One of the other benefits of changing our setup posture is keeping the club on plane. What that means is as the club swings around your body, it needs to stay on a similar tilt that you started in. I've drawn a blue line up the shaft while you're at address position. Taking the club back with Grant, I'm going to take him back until his left arm is parallel to the ground, about right there. His shaft at that point is above the blue line and is still pointed somewhat in the reasonable direction of the golf ball. As you come back, and I'll take you and stop you at where your left arm is parallel to the ground, and your shaft has gotten off plane. It's what we call in a flat position. And so you're going to have to reroute your club in order to get back to the impact line, the blue line, at impact. So as you come down, you now have rerouted it, and you are more on track to the ball, but you have created this little loop in the top of your swing in order to reroute it. When Grant comes back down, he's still on that same parallel position there. So he doesn't have his shaft and his swing plane fluctuating during the swing. And so he's going to be a little bit more consistent at delivering the club into the golf ball.